Tanisha Finch, Mary Middle Session. Hi Mary, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. It's great to see you. So just before we start, I might just run through what we've spoken about previously. So we sort of discussed you having a bit of anxiety around work, and you're looking on developing a bit more of self-confidence, a bit more self-esteem. We previously recommended some breathing techniques and a bit of journaling as well. And in the last session, we discussed that this one would be the second last before we finish up in the next session. I just wanted to see, how you're dealing with that.
Oh, well, I'm sort of hearing that this is going to be my second last session, and, my sessions are sort of coming to a close. It's sort of feeling quite anxious and a little bit nervous. I know I've, made a lot of progress, but I'm not quite sure if I'm quite ready to be on my own just yet. So I've been trying to sort of work through that a little bit, with the breathing techniques and stuff that you've given me. Because I sort of, once you sort of started discussing wrapping up our session, I was like, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. And so I was like sort of really nervous and very, very anxious. And the breathing technique that sort of gave me sort of really helped sort of try to curb that a little bit, which has been good. But even still, like, I've still been a little bit, ugh, I don't know if I'm ready to be on my own just yet.
Okay, all right. So you sort of, you're feeling a bit uncertain. Can you tell me a bit about, a bit more about these concerns that you're having at the moment?
Well, it's mainly because, I wonder if it's like because I've gotten quite used to coming here, because I've been coming here regularly for like the last like 4, almost 5 months. I've been coming here quite regularly. Like every 2 weeks I've been here. So it's like sort of, I'm a very organized person, so it's been sort of just like a part of my life. It's like something that's like just constantly scheduled into my book. I know that I have to be here at this time, and I'm constantly just, I'm a very organized person, so this is sort of breaking my organized schedule, which I don't really like having my schedule changed too much. It's like specifically in my personal life, whereas at work stuff is constantly changing, but in my personal life I sort of like to have things quite structured, quite organized. So you sort of be just like, oh, I don't know what am I supposed to do in this time frame now that I'm no longer going to be here. So it's been a bit, I'm like, oh, don't quite know if I'll be okay. If like, what if something comes up and I'm no longer here to talk to you guys? It's like you're sort of being very anxious.
Okay, so you've sort of fit this into your routine, and you're a bit anxious about this coming to a close. Okay, and so how have you been managing that anxiety that you're having about this?
Well, mainly I've been sort of just like I said sort of earlier, like doing the breathing exercises and sort of trying to keep myself centered. But I've sort of found that the breathing exercises are working, but I didn't quite like the other thing that we talked about.
Okay, the journaling?
Yeah. It was, I mean, I really did try to do the journaling. I did do it a couple of times. Like, I really tried to like commit to it and give it a chance, but I did find it quite boring. I didn't quite enjoy that. So like, I'm wondering if maybe I should try and do something a little bit more physical, because I sort of don't like to, I struggle with sitting still a lot, which is kind of why I'm a good manager, is because I'm constantly on the floor. I'm constantly moving, talking with people, running around, doing meetings. So me being able to like move around is like, I like that. And then like I'm at home and I'm trying to do this journaling and I have to sit still in one place, and I'm like, it's almost making me like more anxious to do the journaling than the journaling is to help my anxiety, which has sort of been a little bit strange, but I'm just like, I really don't like it.
Okay, so you're sort of finding that the journaling, it's been a bit more of a hindrance than being helpful for your anxiety. Okay, so you're sort of looking to do something a little bit more physical?
Yeah, yeah.
And what do you think might sort of work for you in that sense? What are your interests?
Well, I'm not really too sure, but I do go to a local gym whenever I can. Um, and I've noticed that they have this flyer that I noticed in the last time that I went, that was for a new yoga studio that they're opening up at the gym, and they're sort of setting up classes and sort of trying to get people to like come in and sort of fill those beginning classes. And I sort of was really intrigued, and I was like, oh, I've never done yoga before. What's that?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I like trying new sort of exercises and new things. So I was quite intrigued. It probably helped that it was a giant yellow poster covered in sparkles.
It would have stood out.
It definitely stood out. Okay. Whoever made that poster really put a lot of work into it. And so like I was walking out, I saw it, and I was like, oh, what's this? And then sort of read over it, and I was like, this might be a good idea. And they were sort of running sessions like 3 or 4 times a week. Okay. For like different sessions. And I was like, oh, this might be something that I can try and see how I go with that. But yeah, no, so I think maybe I'll try yoga to sort of, because I know that with yoga it's supposed to be a very meditative thing that you're doing. Yeah. And these are beginner classes. They do have a couple like advanced classes, but I'm not going to be doing any advanced classes with yoga anytime soon. But yeah, so I might consider joining the yoga class. But yeah.
Okay, and that's something you find you could sort of slot into your routine?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, alright. And how are you feeling about, starting up a new class with sort of new people?
I think I'll actually enjoy it because I have sort of been feeling a little bit like socially isolated. Like I want to sort of expand my social horizons a little bit. I want to be talking to people that aren't just my co-workers or that aren't just my family. I feel like I sort of need to expand, possibly like, I don't know, my circle of friends or whatever. And I'm thinking that maybe these yoga classes will help because it'll be other people who may or may not have done yoga either. We can, talk about that. But I am, I'm a very social person, and not really having people outside of my family or my co-workers to talk to is sort of a little bit, made me feel a little bit lonely lately. But yeah.
So you're sort of feeling like, by going to these classes it might broaden your horizons a bit socially and break things up a little bit. Is that the case? Okay. Yeah. It sounds like it would work for you, and it's good that you've been able to actually sort of identify something that might work a bit better in place of the journaling, because if something's not working for you, then obviously we want to find something a bit more suited to your interests, and it sounds like this would be good for you. It'd be good if you can sort of give that a go, and maybe next session we can sort of review that and see how that's been for you, which would be good to hear. Okay. And so you're finding the breathing to be alright?
Yeah, the breathing's okay. Sometimes it's especially if I'm sort of going through something a little bit bigger, the breathing sometimes takes a little bit longer in a way, I guess, to work. But I enjoy it a lot more than I do the journaling. And I do find that if I just sort of give myself a minute, especially like in private, I can sort of give myself that specified time to really sort of calm myself down. And I know the techniques that you've sort of taught me on, like how to breathe in public, essentially, have really helped, because it's sort of awkward if I'm just standing in the middle of a meeting and being just like, give me a second, I just got to do some breathing.
Yeah, it's good if you can be in a more controlled environment.
So you gave me those techniques on how to sort of subtly breathe, I think is the way you sort of said it, and to sort of be able to center myself for a short period of time, when I'm in a sort of a crowded room surrounded by my co-workers or in meetings or whatever. So that's been immensely helpful. But I can sort of use those bigger techniques in private that sort of take a little bit more time. But the breathing's really helped. So yeah.
It's awesome that you've been able to find yourself being centered. That's a great sort of form of expression. So it's good to hear that the breathing has been working for you, and it's been sort of successful in helping you manage those feelings of anxiety. And it's good that we've sort of found something that can work in place of the journaling as well. Okay. With that being said, is there anything else that's been going on? When are you finding that you're using the breathing like most?
Well, I have noticed that I am using it a lot less, like in comparison to when I first sort of started my sessions. I've sort of noticed that my anxiety has really sort of gone down. But like really it's mainly when I have meetings with, you know, my big bosses, when, you know, it's, or when we have like those giant meetings. You know, there've been a couple times where I've, you know, had my boss be just like, oh hey, by the way, you're going to be in charge of the next big meeting, and be just like, oh my god, what do you mean I'm in charge of the next big meeting? And that's sort of like really spiked up my anxiety. And then those sort of, in those moments I'm just like, especially if I'm alone, it's really great because I can just sort of take a minute and be just like, do the breathing techniques and be just like, okay, I can do this, I've done it before, I'm okay, everything is fine, you know, we can, I just need to work through it piece by piece. And just sort of recenter myself, refocus, and sort of just get my job done. And I haven't really had to use it too much, especially in the last sort of few weeks. Like in my personal life, I've sort of able to, I'm a lot more in touch with my family now. Even my husband was saying, you know, you've seemed to be like more connected with us, which has been really great, because I guess I didn't realize I had sort of started drifting away from my family, trying to not knowing how to handle myself or handle what I was dealing with. I was just like, let me just push myself away because it's easier than trying to figure out how to deal with it. And then you sort of helping me try sort of say, here's a couple techniques on how to deal with it, some breathing, some, you know, some other techniques on how to sort of center yourself, has really helped, you know, sort of allowing me to almost like rejoin my family and become a better leader at work, which has been really great.
Oh wow, that's, you know, that's wonderful, because it's, you know, it's sort of, you've really done this for yourself. You know, I sort of gave you an inch and you went a mile with that. The fact that this has been able to sort of assist in so many different areas of your life is wonderful to hear. You know, it's really great that that's been working for you. So I suppose sort of keep up the breathing if that seems to be working, and we'll implement that little bit of change with the, instead of journaling, you'll attend the yoga sessions, and you know, we can review that in our next session, which will be the last. And how are you feeling about that?
I'm a little bit nervous. And there was like another thing that I wanted to talk to you about with the last session is like, I know that I've been attending, you know, the same day, you know, the same time, you know, every 2 weeks for the last like almost 5 months. So I was wondering if maybe instead of it being 2 weeks from now, if I could stretch it to 3 weeks from now, just to sort of give myself that, you know, that time to be just like, okay, you're on your own now, you'll sort of use the techniques that you've been given, you know how to cope, you know, and then, but if it turns out it's a bit too much, I still have that sort of that safety net session, which I think might make sort of ending this a little bit easier.
Yeah, of course, if you feel that will work better for you, and it's great that you can sort of identify that might work a bit better than just doing the scheduled 2 weeks. So yeah, that's fine. And would it be around the same time?
Yeah. Okay. Just 3 weeks instead of 2, if that's at all possible.
Of course, that's possible. We can definitely do that. And maybe, you know, that might help you with adjusting your routine a bit as well, which, you know, that sounds like it'll be very beneficial for you. More than happy. All right. Well, I'll see you in 3 weeks' time, and in that time, you know, you can keep practicing the breathing techniques and attend the yoga and see how that goes. And any time within there, if you find that you're struggling or anything, you've got our contact number, you know the everything else, so we're here. Okay?
Okay, thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You too.
Okay. Bye.